Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. President Trump tonight telling CBS News the Iran war is, quote, very complete, pretty much. And after initially saying the war could last 4 to 5 weeks, he told CBS's Weijia Zhang today, quote, we're very far ahead of schedule. The president also telling CBS News he's thinking about taking over the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the global oil supply flows as gas prices continue to surge. And the alleged terror attempt in New York City, the 2 teenage suspects inspired by ISIS, according to officials. One of them saying he wanted to cause more damage than the Boston Marathon bombing. What was in those homemade explosives? And the gunfire at Grammy winner Rihanna's house, a woman now being held tonight, suspected of attempted murder. What we know about who she is and why she could have done it. And the good stuff tonight, a major upset at the LA Marathon. How a substitute teacher from Michigan won it all.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Thank you for joining us on a very busy Monday night, day 10 of the war in the Middle East, and we are tracking the repercussions for you right here at home, including those surging gas prices. But late this afternoon, President Trump told our Weijia Zhang that the war is, quote, very complete and very far ahead of schedule. And then just moments ago at his first official press conference since the war began, he expanded on those comments, saying victory is now close at hand after the U.S. and Israel wiped out, as he put it, quote, every single force in Iran. We have multiple reports on this tonight, starting with our senior White House correspondent, Weijia Zhang. Weijia, good evening to you. You spoke to the president. What did he tell you?
Tony, good evening. I called President Trump to talk about his latest thinking about how long the war could last, and I asked him what percentage of the war is done. The president told me he thinks the war is, quote, very complete. He went on to say Iran has no navy, no communications, no air force, and that their missiles are down to a scatter. When Trump first launched the strikes, he estimated this war would last for about 4 to 5 weeks, and he said today that the U.S. is very far ahead of that schedule. We also spoke about Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the former Ayatollah who was killed in the strikes. Trump has expressed his disapproval of that choice, but said he has no message right now for Khamenei whatsoever. I asked the president if he had someone else in mind, and he said he did, although he would not elaborate. I asked, have you been in touch with this person? And he said, I don't want to say anything about that, but yeah, I do. Tony?
Weijia, thank you very much. For more, let's bring in Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes, who's been following the president's comments. Nancy, good evening. We heard a lot from the president today. What stood out to you?
Well, Tony, what stood out was that late this afternoon, just a few hours after he told Weijia that the war is almost complete, President Trump spoke at a Republican retreat and said he will not relent until the enemy is defeated, which seemed to signal a longer conflict. He's also been making some new claims about why he went to war and why now.
How good is our military? Right?
At his golf club in Doral, Florida, President Trump told House Republicans he had to wage war because Iran was about to strike the U.S.
Within a week, they were going to attack us 100%. They were ready.
It was the first time he had offered that timeline, and it comes one day after he made this unsubstantiated claim. He said the U.S. had to act because Iran was about to attack the entire Middle East and take it over.
No, I don't think there have been any indications that they were planning an attack at this time.
CBS News contributor Elliot Ackerman is a veteran of the Marines and the CIA.
There is sort of a shifting reason for why we're fighting the war and shifting reasons as to what the objectives of the war are. I think as Americans, it should give us some caution because it's very difficult to win a war if it's not clearly understood what the war is about.
Trump also weighed in this weekend on the bombing of an Iranian girls' school.
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
But CBS News has learned that a preliminary U.S. assessment suggests the United States, not Iran, was likely responsible and may have hit the school in error using dated intelligence. CBS's Major Garrett asked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth about that assessment on 60 Minutes.
If you could tell the American public it definitively was not us, you would tell us, wouldn't you?
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only answer I'm prepared to give.
President Trump spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin today, and Trump told reporters that Putin wants to be helpful and constructive in the Middle East. But CBS News confirmed several days ago that Russia has actually been sharing intelligence with Iran on U.S. military targets. Tony?
Nancy, thank you very much. Staying with the war, tonight the remains of a 7th U.S. service member killed in the war with Iran are expected back in the United States. Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of Glendale, Kentucky, was 26 years old, severely wounded last week in an attack on a U.S. base in Saudi Arabia. He died just yesterday. Meanwhile, the Iranian regime announced a new supreme leader, a 56-year-old son of the Ayatollah who was killed last week in the opening minutes of the war. He may already be a marked man himself, as the U.S. and Israel continue to launch massive new attacks, and Iran, too, is widening the war to include, for the first time, water and oil facilities in the region. Chief Correspondent Matt Gutman has more tonight from Tel Aviv.
On the streets of Tehran, thousands gathered to celebrate the selection of hardline cleric Mujtaba Khamenei as Iran's new supreme leader. His father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in the initial assault over a week ago. Israel had this blunt message for him.
Nobody in the IRGC regime is protected from what's going on. You know, the highest risk job right now is to be the new Ayatollah.
Over the weekend, Israel struck fuel depots in Tehran for the first time, sending fireballs and plumes of thick black smoke skyward, coming back down as acid rain. And fuel leaked into the city's wastewater system, igniting sewers across the city.
Why is that necessary, and how is that helpful?
Well, it's the lifeline of the regime. This is where the money is coming from, and therefore, if this will be gone, their ability to do this is going to be reduced significantly.
Iran struck back on civilian infrastructure throughout the Gulf. An oil refinery in Bahrain, Kuwait's social security building turned into a tower of flames. Dubai's airport, one of the busiest in the world, also hit.
Oh my God.
While in Israel, Iran is increasingly relying on cluster munitions to pierce Israel's air defenses.
This is just the fuel tank of one of those giant Iranian missiles, and at the very end would be the warhead. That warhead increasingly has been containing these. These are cluster munitions, and they mount about 80 of these on a single warhead.
Those bomblets killing one and wounding several others today.
How much of a concern is that now that they are seeming to change those tactics?
It's a huge concern, of course, for the life and well-being of the Israeli people. And then again, this is the price of a war we're willing to pay.
And Tony, in that press conference just a short time ago, the president said that the U.S. and Israel have decimated Iran's missile capacity down to 10%. But the Gulf states today got hammered. Qatar alone on the receiving end of 17 missiles, 6 drones, multiple missiles coming into Tel Aviv. And now Iran is threatening to use even deadlier munitions against these countries. Tony.
Matt, thank you very much. On that point, we're going to turn to the surging gas prices. A major shipping route for oil has effectively been shut down amid this war, sending shockwaves through the markets, with gas jumping nationwide from an average of $2.92 in Kansas to more than $5 a gallon in California. CBS News business and tech correspondent Jolene Kent is tracking this for us tonight.
The reality of the war in Iran is showing up at gas stations nationwide.
The gas prices going up is very frustrating.
Prices have shot up about 50 cents a gallon in just the last week.
Just watching the gas prices go from like $3.20 all the way up to $3.80 has been really scary.
Drone attacks on refineries in the Middle East and a choke point for ships in the Strait of Hormuz, where a fifth of the world's oil is typically shipped, are affecting supply. CBS's Imtiaz Tayyab is nearby in Qatar.
Well, there's real panic here in the Gulf tonight as the Strait of Hormuz, which is just off these shores, remains effectively closed. And as oil-rich countries slow production, the fear is the cost of a barrel of oil could soon hit $150.
And it's not just drivers feeling the pain. The price of diesel is up nearly $1 a gallon. That drives up the cost of farming and consumer goods and could send inflation higher.
I'm thinking about the diesel that goes in every tractor, truck, and combine on our farm.
Megan Kaiser is a soy and corn farmer and soil scientist in Missouri.
You're in planting season right now. Fuel is costing you more. What does that do to your business?
Well, it automatically dips into our margins, which were already tight. And so it is a concern. And the timeliness of we have to plant when the weather is right, when the soil is right. We don't have a lot of options on waiting for fuel prices to change.
Oil prices did settle well below $100 a barrel today. This comes as the G7 energy ministers plan to meet tomorrow to discuss possibly releasing some of that strategic oil reserve to relieve some of that pricing pressure. Tony?
Jolene, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to that other major travel story tonight, the major delays at America's airports as security lines in some cases sneak through concourses, downstairs, even into baggage areas at times. What's gone wrong? What's needed to fix it? Here's senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
This is not what flyers hope to see arriving at the New Orleans airport Monday morning. Only some TSA lines open due to staffing shortages stemming from soaring sick calls. The line snaking its way through the terminal for a second straight day. Sunday, people were in line for hours, stretching out into the parking garage.
I was here 3 weeks ago during Mardi Gras, and it was no problem. This is insane.
I had to change my flight, so rather than a 3 p.m. flight, it is now a 8 p.m. flight.
At Houston's Hobby Airport, wait times topped 3 hours Sunday, and by Monday, the line was still at least 2 hours long just to get to security.
We had missed both our flights.
Now, some airports are telling flyers to get here at least 3 hours before their flights. This surge in wait times comes as the airlines are preparing to fly 171 million people for spring break, and as a partial government shutdown over the Trump administration's immigration policies enters its fourth week. The second prolonged government shutdown since October is taking a toll on some of the government's lowest paid workers. The more than 50,000 TSA officers on the job will miss a full paycheck this week and have no idea when the next one will come, driving the spike in sick calls.
We don't need a promise of a paycheck. We need a paycheck. We can't go to the bank with a promise.
With a political stalemate continuing in Washington, a trip to the airport means a flight of uncertainty at airports nationwide. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
In federal court today, prosecutors charged 2 teenagers with hurling an explosive device into a crowd Saturday in an attempted terror attack. They were inspired by ISIS, according to the complaint, and one of the defendants allegedly said he hoped for an attack bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing. CBS News national correspondent Jerika Duncan has more.
A chaotic scene erupted Saturday when a young man threw a lit improvised explosive device into an anti-Muslim protest near the residence of New York City's first Muslim mayor, Zohran Mamdani. Within seconds, officers tackled the suspects, 18-year-old Amir Balad and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi. The suspects, who drove from Pennsylvania, are accused of carrying homemade explosive devices. Attorney Medhi Esmidi represents Balad.
This is the first time he's ever been connected to anything like this. He has no history of any kind of violence.
Today, both appeared in court and are facing 5 federal charges, including the use of a weapon of mass destruction, transportation of explosive materials, and unlawful possession of destructive devices. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said the young men admitted they acted on behalf of ISIS.
This was a planned attack motivated by extremist ideology.
In the criminal complaint, Kayumi says he watched ISIS propaganda on his phone. And after being arrested, police say Balad said he hoped to carry out something bigger than the Boston Marathon, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths.
Can you describe how destructive those devices could have been? How many people could have been impacted?
Had these IEDs functioned the way the perpetrators allegedly wanted them to, they could have caused death, destruction.
Mayor Mamdani was not home on Saturday during that incident. Meanwhile, as far as those suspects are concerned, they are due back in court in April. Tony?
Jerika, thank you very much. Still ahead on the broadcast, a woman fired an assault rifle at Rihanna's Beverly Hills mansion. What happened next? We are back with new details on that bizarre shooting outside the home of music superstar Rihanna on Sunday, including what the authorities are saying now about the person they believe was behind it. Here's CBS News correspondent Carter Evans.
Multiple bullet holes are clearly visible in the front gate leading to Rihanna's home in Los Angeles.
Approximately 10 shots heard and an unknown person shouting.
It happened Sunday afternoon. Police say 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz from Florida opened fire with an AR-15 style assault rifle and fled.
Well, I was just washing dishes in my house and I heard shots and I was a little shocked.
Police spotted the suspect's car from the air.
Two vehicles, a white Tesla, northbound.
They tracked it to a nearby shopping mall where they took Ortiz into custody, booked her on attempted murder, and set bail at more than $10 million. The 9-time Grammy winner and business mogul was home at the time of the shooting, according to the LA Times. The LAPD confirms people were present, but it's not clear if her partner, rapper A$AP Rocky, and their 3 children were also there. In 2018, a man broke into Rihanna's home and stayed there for 12 hours until the singer's assistant discovered him. In this case, police say they've recovered the weapon, and we've uncovered more about the suspect. Ivana Ortiz was booked for domestic violence in Florida in 2023. More recently, she sought an injunction to block a Billie Eilish concert in Orlando.
Is Cardi B pressed?
Before the shooting, a woman who appears to be Ortiz shared bizarre posts on social media about several celebrities, including Rihanna.
Investigators are back out here now going through the scene. It does appear that some of the bullets went through the gate and into an Airstream trailer in the driveway, also an outside wall of the home, but no injuries were reported. Tony?
Carter, thank you very much. Up next, a family's gesture of forgiveness after what they say was a tragic accident. To a story that caught our eye out of Georgia tonight, the family of a beloved high school math teacher is grieving his death in what's being described as a prank gone wrong. CBS News senior national correspondent Mark Strassman has details.
A local high school's tradition of pranking turned into unthinkable heartbreak when 5 high school seniors came to TP the house of math teacher Jason Hughes.
Hughes loved these kids, knew the prank was coming, was excited about it. When he spotted the teens, he ran out of the house, somehow slipped on this rain-slick street, and the teens in a pickup truck accidentally drove over him.
He always had the best smile on his face, and he just seemed like such a friendly guy.
The pickup truck's 18-year-old driver was charged with vehicular homicide. Hughes's family wants all charges dropped, saying, "Our family is determined to prevent a separate tragedy from occurring, ruining the lives of these students." But anguish like this has staying power.
Mark Strassman, CBS News, Gainesville, Georgia.
Mark, thank you very much. Up next, when persistence pays off. Ahead, the good stuff. We are back with the good stuff. A major upset at the Los Angeles Marathon and the lesson in it for all of us. First, the photo finish. Listen to the surprise in the announcers' voices as an American amateur comes from way behind for the victory.
Martin, Nathan Martin. Oh my gosh.
That finish was the closest in LA Marathon history, so close that after 26.2 miles, it came down to a single stride. But what's maybe even more impressive is the runner himself. Nathan Martin is a substitute teacher and high school cross-country coach from Michigan, and he wasn't even the fastest miler in his middle school. But he kept pushing, winning a little bit in high school, and kept pushing, winning a little bit more at a small college, and kept pushing, getting older and yet faster until winning the Los Angeles Marathon on Sunday at 36 years old. It takes work, of course, but he told us it's about the mindset as well. You don't focus on the result, you focus on the process.
What do you think the lesson is for everyone else out there who's not a marathoner?
If you put in the work and you stay consistent, that ultimately you can accomplish a lot of things, and it's about that fight and what doors it opens up.
As it happens, today is the start of the cross-country season at his high school in Michigan, and he is hoping his victory will inspire his students to their own personal bests. His message to them, to all of us really, the work starts right now. That's another day in America and the world. I'm Tony DeCopel. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night for now.